Hey everyone, welcome to class today. It's Wednesday, April 1st. I wish I could April Fools all of you and not have to do class today, but we got to keep moving forward. All right, right now we're in the causal argument unit, and you guys are looking at starting your own causal argument here in the next couple days. We looked at this one on Monday. This is the Black Mothers Keep Dying After Giving Birth piece. Thanks to all of you who went in and added to our discussion board. I thought it was a really lively discussion, and I was proud of a lot of you for how you talked about some of the writer's moves that you might consider using for your own essays, especially when you consider intros and transitions and conclusions. Well, we're going to use this same piece, since all of you are familiar with it, to practice some incorporating evidence techniques today. So I'm just going to model how you might go about doing that if you were writing a causal argument on this topic of Black maternal mortality rates. So what you would want to do is, of course, first you look at your source, and you're trying to figure out what from the source is the kind of information you would want to include in your paper. So from this one, since it's a podcast, I would go to its transcript. And then from there, I might make some decisions about who I want to reference here. One of the strong points, and a lot of you made this point about this podcast, we're including some of the researchers who've looked into weathering in particular and the effects of chronic stress especially on Black women. So I would want to look into that because, again, this is an academic argument. I'm looking for more logos, right, when I'm trying to prove a causal relationship. And so there's a lot here from this Dr. Michael Liu, who's done a number of studies about the dangers of discrimination. And then there are some others, but this is the one we're going to use today for just for workshop. So what I did is I wrote up a mock paragraph for a causal argument essay, and I have highlighted these different points here. So in the paragraph, what you see there in yellow is the sort of topic sentence for this part of the essay, which would be this paragraph. And it says, many wonder what could be causing these high mortality rates among African American women in this country. Okay, so I'm going to go into some evidence for what I feel like, based on my research, could be causing these problems. What I have highlighted here in blue is some information that that attributes our authors, right? So we have here Renee Montagne, because she's the author of the podcast in a sense. She's a seasoned reporter from National Public Radio and host of the show All Things Considered. So that gives us a little bit of her ethos. And I said here that she interviewed a number of researchers on this very topic, one of whom is this Dr. Michael Liu. So I said here he believes he knows a part of the answer as head of the Maternal and Child Health Bureau. Okay, so there is his attribution. That way we know who Michael Liu is, and I pulled that again from the piece here, head of the Maternal and Child Health Bureau. Okay. Then here, this is in gray what we call a signal phrase into some directly quoted evidence. Okay, the signal phrase here is he's conducted numerous studies that have found. So this is my writing, and now I'm setting up the actual quote that I want to use. This is a much better technique. It's a smoother transition for readers than if I were to just start this sentence with this, direct quote. I'll show you a resource in a minute about where you can go to find, helpful verbs and things that you could use to signal phrase. But here in pink, you see the actual quote, okay? What you'll notice is that in my citation for the quote, which is about a cause of poor outcomes in childbirth for all Black women is prolonged exposure to the dangers of discrimination, I put here quoted in Montagne. Okay, Montagne is essentially my author for this podcast, but because she did not say this, if we look at the transcript, it's Liu who actually said this, then I have to say quoted in Montagne. Okay, now all of this green is what we call commentary. So it's great to have evidence, but you have to also include your own commentary on that evidence. Otherwise, you're just letting your source material speak for you as the writer. So here you see, I've also used another quote inside my commentary, which is perfectly fine. But ultimately, these are my thoughts. It says, this prolonged exposure leads to chronic stress in many African American women, which can have a number of effects on their health, including a fear of being discriminated against, which can, quote, disrupt key communication between a mother and her provider. Again, I'm citing Montaigne because this is something that Montaigne said somewhere around. Here we go. Here, okay? And then I say here, communication between patient and doctor is key to maintaining the highest possible health care. And when that communication is weakened, unfortunately, there can be severe health consequences. In this case, a generation of children who will grow up without a mother. Okay, so this is just one paragraph. I might then transition to looking at a particular anecdote and say something like, for instance, in the case of Shalon Irving. And then I'm going to go in and look at this anecdote that gives us sort of the human side of this much broader and bigger problem. Okay? So hopefully that helps just review some of those ideas about how to incorporate evidence. If y'all need a little more help, you can go back to Blackboard and over here to our writer's guide. For homework, you were supposed to have looked at some of these modules here under arguing. We're going to look real quick at principles of evidence integration. And then when you look in here, you'll get a lot of different reviews on how to provide context for source material. They give some examples of some of those signal phrases we've been talking about, and also how to provide those attributions for who your sources are and why they're credible. And it also gives you some verbs of attribution as well, so that you can use those and incorporate those in your paper too. Okay, what I want y'all to do is in the comments below, kind of write about your goals for incorporating your evidence. Of course, what I modeled for you is just how to incorporate one source. You guys are using multiple sources in this paper, so you might have some concerns there. So if you have any questions, you can ask those, and in the discussion board, I'll pop in and answer those during class discussion on Wednesday. But your comments or questions can serve as your attendance for today and your participation. Don't forget too, you've got some homework to do tonight. Again, looking this time at plagiarism, how to avoid it, especially in a paper of this length, and then some homework on looking at a sample causal argument and sort of looking at those writer's moves. All right, good luck guys. Email me if you have any questions.